Hello.
Hello.
No.
I'm Kendra, the court reporter, just so everyone knows who I am.
Hi, Kendra. Yes, this is Isaac, and I know
Yeah.
who you are. And Hans Mueller is in charge here, so he'll be presiding. So I'm sure he knows who you are as well.
Look how happy he looks, Hans, to be presiding.
Nice. Happy to have you with us, though, Kendra.
Happy to be here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good
Hello.
afternoon, Patria.
Judy.
Yep.
You're all good.
Am I muted?
We can hear you.
No, that one's your mute right there. You can go ahead and just click the mute.
BB, is this the first time you've used this in your office ever? Well, now we can't hear you because she muted you like you wanted her to.
I believe this is my second round, yes.
Oh, good. We should get you a cat filter and you could get internet famous.
I'm going to pass.
Probably have to pick a different animal, though. I think cat has been spoken for already.
Maybe like a duck or a deer, because something with big antlers, Judy, would be great.
I still have a couple minutes before we officially get started, and we're 1 minute now. And Kendra, I'll double check with you to make sure you're all set before we officially go on the record. For anyone right now, we do not have a lot of people signed up for public comment hearing. If you do wish to, I'll be calling people in order on the list that I have. If you would like to make a comment, I'll, in responding to anything that has been said at the end, if you know how to use the raise hand portion of Zoom, which all you have to do is click on the button down below that says participants. It'll bring up the list of who is on this call. And on the first feature, you'll see an issue that says raise hand. That'll indicate to me that you have a statement that you want to make rather than people trying to talk over each other. And I'll address those in turn and make sure to get to you. That way it's a little more orderly toward the end. But I will be calling on people individually to keep this fairly in order. But it should be a short meeting today. And I have 1 o'clock. Kendra, are you all ready to go?
I am ready.
All right,
Thank you.
and let's go on the record. We are here for the public comment hearing today in the matter of Union Pacific Railroad for approval to close a public at-grade railroad crossing, and City of Alamogordo for approval to construct a new public at-grade signalized railroad crossing. That is case number 20-00215 TRRR. I have 2 parties in this matter, City of Alamogordo and PRC staff. Patria, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Patria Ben-Goshe, and I'm the city attorney for the city of Alamogordo.
Okay, and Mr. Borman, can you introduce yourself, please?
Thank you. My name is Brad Borman. I am the director of the legal division of the PRC.
Okay, and currently, right now, I have signed up 6 people for public comment that have signed up. There's probably only one name that I might mispronounce, but let me just read these people off. Michael Shine, Brian Caesar, Bob Johnson, Tom Temple, Miranda Simmons, and GB Oliver. Is there anyone whose name I did not call who is seeking to make comment today? Okay, I am not noticing anybody raising their hand or pitching in here. So I believe that the list of 6 people is the correct list. Once I call your name, if you can unmute yourself, and I'm going to allow, since it's a short list, I'll allow 5 minutes for comments today, and I'll just keep track of that manually. So Michael Shine, you are first on the list. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Very good. Thank you very much. I simply wanted to give the commission a couple timelines that might be useful in making your decision. My family has owned the property between White Sands Boulevard, US Highway 5470, and the railroad since the 1960s. And in around 2008, when that intersection of Scenic Drive with North White Sands Boulevard existed, it was a 3-way intersection that came from Scenic coming from the east, moving west to Highway 5470 and stopping at that point. And so we reconfigured that intersection to continue west onto our property. And at that time, in 2008, the city of Alamogordo stepped forward and said, okay, I'm sorry, let me stop for a minute. We constructed Scenic Drive to cross over Highway 5470 to the west and intersect a road we constructed that was parallel to the railroad tracks, but still a couple hundred feet from it. And at that time, the city of Alamogordo in 2008 stepped forward and said, okay, we want to purchase the land that would allow Scenic Drive to be extended west to the railroad tracks because we anticipate because the relief route had been opened in the year 2000 and the city said we anticipate extending Scenic Drive across the railroad tracks to the relief route. And that date, that time frame of the city having this plan in 2008, 12 or 13 years ago, is simply something I wanted to point out. This is not any new idea. The city has had this plan for many, had planned this out in their master plan for many years. That is all I have to say. Just wanted you to have that information.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your comment and joining us today. I'm going to skip to Chief Master Sergeant Tom Temple. Tom, if you're on, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, this is Captain Miranda Simmons with Holloman Air Force Base, and with me is Chief Master Sergeant Tom Temple, our 49th Wing Command Chief. We just wanted to provide comments on behalf of Team Holloman, specifically related to the proposed projects. And I'd say that, our wing commander's #1 priority when we're taking into consideration these types of projects are, of course, our military family quality of life, resiliency, and military value in the surrounding community. With that being said, adding the Scenic Drive extension will offer multiple benefits, just so you can hear me a little better, will offer several benefits to our Holloman community, specifically #1 being that it would offer the most direct access for route between Holloman and Gerald Champion Medical Facility. In addition to that, it would create an immediate 25% increase in east to west crossings in the cities that would encourage new development and more jobs. And that's all that I have on behalf of Holloman. I'm sorry, sir, we can't hear you.
Apologies. All right, so no further comment from Tom Temple at this point?
Nope, the captain captured it perfectly. We're excited for this project.
All right, thank you very much, both of you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll move to GB Oliver.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm GB Oliver. I am the Executive Director of the Alamogordo Chamber of Commerce. And I'd like for you to understand that this is a very important project for us here. The majority of growth that's happened in this community is happening on the north end of this community. In the past several years, we visited with several companies. I flew to California and visited with a company that was looking to relocate in this community. One of the stipulations they had on that was that when this North Scenic Drive extension was completed, to get back in touch with them because they were very interested in coming to this community. It also ties this community into a brand new Hilton Hotel that will be opening over there in about 3 months. We also have a family fun center. The fastest growing subdivision in this community is over in Mesa Village. That'll tie this right back into that. So in addition to what the military is sharing with you as far as a direct route to the hospital, this is a very positive thing for the economic development of this community. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Oliver. Appreciate you joining us today. All right, the remaining, Patria, the remaining commenters are Mr. Brian Caesar and Bob Johnson, and you have identified them as employees of the city of Alamogordo, since city of Alamogordo is a party and you are the legal representative. Can I just get you to state that you're in favor of them making a comment without legal counsel?
Absolutely. I'm in favor of them speaking. Brian Caesar is our city manager and Bob Johnson is our engineering manager who's heading this project.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Caesar, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, this is the first time the attorney has allowed me to speak without her being in the room, so I'm a little bit surprised. It's always a danger to go after GB, Michael Shine, or Holloman because they've stated a lot of what I was going to talk about. The emergency services, the direct route out to Holloman. As Michael pointed out, this has been a very long-term project for the city. We've been working with the railroad for years to make this project happen. Bob actually is here more to answer questions if the commission has questions, engineering-wise, project-wise. We're just anxious to get this project finally moving forward.
Okay. And Bob Johnson, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, sir. Bob Johnson, Engineering Manager, City of Alamogordo. I'm here to answer any questions anyone might have, to echo everyone else's comments. We're anxious to move this project forward.
Okay. Let me pose one question. Patria, I'm going to pose one question to Mr. Caesar and Mr. Johnson, and you can interject as needed. It's my understanding that the new railroad crossing will be a larger railroad crossing than the current one. Is that correct?
I don't believe it's going to be any larger.
Well, let's see. The scenic crossing is going to be a brand new crossing. We're closing the crossing at 8th Street, which is a much smaller crossing than we have at 10th Street. Scenic about matches 10th Street, I believe.
Correct. It is wider than the 8th Street crossing.
Right. Okay.
It will have the latest and greatest Union Pacific signaling devices, cross arms.
Also, as part of this project on 10th Street, which is an existing crossing, there's going to be a number of safety enhancements that Union Pacific has requested.
Okay. So even though it's going to be wider, is it your opinion then that this will pose no greater safety risk than the current railroad crossing that is seeking to be closed?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay.
Absolutely. And if I can just add, that 8th Street crossing is a much older crossing. So closing it down will enhance the safety of the city greatly in that area. And the improvements that we'll make at 10th Street as well will really enhance the safety.
Okay. That's all the questions I had for Mr. Caesar and Mr. Johnson. And that concludes actually public comment hearing. Does anyone want to make any final statement? Mr. Borman?
I don't have any statement to make on behalf of staff, but I would note that if there are questions that you do have for staff, we have Mr. Jesse Montoya of the Railroad Bureau available to answer those questions, and Mr. Jason Montoya, who is acting director of the Transportation Division, who could answer those.
Okay, sure. At this time, I don't have any questions for Mr. Montoya. Since this is kind of a unique setup in that this is the only hearing that we kind of have in order to determine whether or not the petitions should be granted without a formal hearing, I've heard nothing today that would indicate that there would be an additional public health. I have heard no disagreement from these petitions that would signal to me that further investigation would be warranted. Essentially, at this time, I'm inclined to issue a recommendation granting the relief sought by Union Pacific to close the public at-grade railroad crossing and the petition of the city of Alamogordo for approval to construct a new public at-grade signalized railroad crossing. Would the parties like to waive exceptions to that recommended decision, or you can waive exceptions at the time their recommended decision is issued, whatever your preference is. Patria, do you have a preference?
Whatever is easier for y'all, we were happy to go with.
Mr. Borman?
Sorry, I had to unmute. We don't have a preference. I don't think we were planning to file exceptions.
We're not either. So
I think I'll go once I issue the recommended decision then in this matter, I will probably just email both parties, Patria and Mr. Borman, so we can just formally state that. I'll note that the parties do not intend to file exceptions as part of the recommended decision, but we'll just confirm that at that time. That being, once I have the recommended decision, then I'll put it before the commission as soon as possible for their approval. Right now, with some new deadlines that we've enacted here, it'll probably be 2 weeks out after I issue the recommended decision, and I'll do my best to get that recommended decision out and processed this week. So I would guess the parties can expect to have that approval before the commission probably within 2 to 3 weeks. If there's no one that has indicated that they wish to make any other additional comments, I can close this public comment hearing. I appreciate everyone taking time out of their afternoon to come and voice their opinions here.
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Right. And Kendra, are you all set? Did you get any other questions? You have to unmute. There you go.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great
Thanks.